After hearing about all that very tasty street food, I am the last thing standing between you and a very tasty lunch and a well-earned coffee, so I'm aware of that. And I'm going to hopefully make this next session very quick. Actually, I'm going to try to make it feel very quick, and I'll be able to do that because I'll obviously be going faster than the speed of light in order to take you back to the future of food retail. Most of you, hopefully, at least if you weren't there, you remember the film. It's going to be an uncomfortable journey, this next 20, 25 minutes or so. It's going to make you, sometimes you might even get scared. But hopefully by the end you'll come out hopeful and with a few ideas about the way the future might be that can really work for you and your companies and your profits. Now, I'm talking about food retail. My company, it's called Strategic Food Retail. It pretty much does what it says on the tin. I work with supermarkets, and I try to bring major, big, disruptive innovation to a supermarket sector, food retail, that is under major disruption from various angles. I say I try to. It is very, very difficult bringing big innovation, i.e. things that have not yet been done before, especially to big companies, and especially big companies that are under threat. They tend to look down rather than up. Anyway, so that's what I'm trying to do, and what I'm going to take you through is some of the challenges that the supermarket sector, especially in Europe and the US, but I think you're going to see it come here too, sooner rather than later. Some of the challenges that they're under, and some of the responses, some of the solutions, which are not yet here, but are coming very soon as well. Now, I'll be talking about supermarkets, but most of what I'm saying is also applicable for non-food, yeah? Or everything else you're selling, it online or not. So, I'm going to talk, obviously, I'm from the UK, if you haven't guessed by my Queen's English. And the UK, they say, is the leading online market for food retail. It is in some sense, in that over 7% now of the food retail market in the UK is bought online. Most of that is home delivery. About 90% of it is delivered to the home. In France, let's say now we're about 6%, and most of it is click and collect, buy online, pick up in store. That's changing. In the US, it's only about 3%, but it's suddenly taking off, growing very fast, obviously driven by the fact that Amazon is getting into that sector for strategic reasons. So I'm going to talk about the leading market first, because the UK has got there first, and the way it's led is that profits have collapsed. Not sure if you're aware, but in the UK, of the big four supermarkets who control 80% of the market, their profits have fallen by 50%, half in the last 5 years. And Tesco, which is the biggest company, a lot of companies look up to Tesco. It's been a leader in its market for a long time, almost 30% market share. Their profits are down 60% from 5 years ago. So that's going from around 3 billion to 1.4 billion. They just had a 30% profit increase. They're making a big thing about it, but that's from a massive decline. So this is a sector in the leading market where profits have collapsed. Just want to get that message across very clear. So I'm going to introduce you to this guy. This guy's the reason. I'm just going to call it an elephant. I haven't given the name yet. It is the elephant in the room, the thing that no one seems to be talking about, and it's not doing the industry any good at all by not talking about it. So I'm going to talk about and make very clear, who is this guy? Why should we be talking about him here? Again, for both food retail and for non-food retail. This guy is the fact that online is the worst possible thing you can sell. Food is the worst possible thing you can sell online, because for each item has a very low gross profit, and relative especially to the cost of picking each order. Each order is about 40 to 50 items on average, an online order. So someone has to go around and pick that, and also to deliver it. They're bulky, and they're all sorts of different temperature requirements and everything. So it costs the food retailers between 12 and 15 pounds to do what the customer used to do for free. Go to the store, pick, pack, and deliver all these bulky, low gross profit items It costs them 12 to 15 pounds to do it. In the UK, they used to charge the fee for this very convenient service to have delivered to your home, all these bulky groceries. They used to charge £8, but now, due to the competition to catch these high-spending multi-channel customers, the fee goes down now to £2. So they're charging £2 for something that costs them between 12 and 15 pounds. Not a great business, but you have to do it, otherwise someone else is going to do it. And this was before Amazon even started offering free 2-hour delivery for orders above £30, with a lot of fresh foods now from Morrison's, which is a vertically integrated, very good fresh food retailer in the UK. And obviously now, everything I'm saying here is now happening in the US as well, with them buying Whole Foods. So these profits collapse of 50% is before Amazon, we even feel the Amazon impact. So this is the bit where hopefully you're feeling you're in that machine going back to the future, and it's getting quite shaken. If anyone here is actually in the business of food retail, hopefully they're feeling a little bit worried, because worry is a good place to start. Because, now one thing that happened here, there's two things going on at the same time, is that we also have, part of the reason for the profit decrease was the rise of what I call the lads limited assortment discounters. Aldi and Lidl, you probably heard them, German retailers, they only sell stock 2,000 items, but very, very good value for money, very good quality relative to the price. They sell about 30% cheaper for the same quality, but very narrow range, so it's a much cheaper model. They have tripled their market share in the UK. They've also adapted to the market by going from just purely cheap on the top. Now everyone knows they're cheap, they're pushing value, and they look much more like supermarkets. Now, part of the reason in the UK their share went from 3% to 12% in 5 years was that the UK food retailers like Tesco and Asda, the Walmart subsidiary, were losing so much money chasing the online customer and subsidizing their people, paying people not to come to their stores, that they didn't have money left over to cut prices and proactively against the rise of these discounters. So what was their reaction? Now, there's two main reactions that I see from retailers that I talk to and try to get to make bigger, bolder steps, rather than not just keep doing what they already know. This is reaction one. This is quite standard, and to be honest, Tesco is still here. If Tesco's watching, you guys are still here. Absolutely. They just look inward, they keep doing more of what they know how to do, cut costs, i.e. cut people, which differentiates you even less. And the more advanced ones, and it's understandable because you're a big company, you've been doing the same thing for a long time, you've been very successful, and suddenly things are changing, your profits are down 60%. It's scary to lift your head up and see this nasty thing, oh my God, there's big change, I've got to do big change. And I know how tough big change is uncomfortable, it's extra work, it's for most people it's really, really tough, but that doesn't do you any good. Yeah? The second reaction I get is slightly more advanced. And that's the other natural reaction. You've got this juggernaut coming down you on the road, you just get stuck, like literally a deer in the headlights. And that's really the state of food retail globally, pretty much, with regard to the two drivers, or the main driver, of the collapse in profitability, which is online adds far more cost and complexity than it does ad sales. You don't eat more because you're buying online. You get a certain first mover advantage from going online, but after that, that's it. So, we're going to get to the positive part first. I'm not going to, you're going to end up, so what can we do? Just to add fuel to the fire, as it were, everything I've said, as I said before, is before the impact of Amazon. Amazon is just getting going. Why is Amazon getting into this food, which is the last thing on Jeff Bezos' list? He said you've got to have high gross profit per unit to make a profit. So why has he changed his mind and going? Because it's just about getting the frequency. It's the hypermarket model. They want to sell more stuff more regularly to more people, which means you lower your shipping costs because you'll have higher drop densities, and also get more people onto your prime flywheel. Yeah, that's why they're doing something. And they don't need to make money from it per se, but they do want it to be part of the bigger money-making machine. There's another company here you may or may not have heard of called Ocado, who are actually the biggest pure online grocer in the world. In the UK, sales nearly 2 billion now. And they also sell systems, automation systems, to help automate the picking of all these products. Unfortunately, what you gain, their facilities have to be very, very large indeed. So what you gain in picking efficiency relative to just paying someone to go around the store, you can pick much faster, but you lose in the delivery distance because they have huge facilities which are much, much further away from their customers. The best place to deliver food from is the store because it's closest to the customer. So they're selling, basically, they're trying to sell food retailers a very expensive shovel to dig their graves a bit faster. So now's the time when I'm getting to the positive bit. So this is a sector which is ripe for reinvention, and it needs to be reinvented, quite apart from all the trends of trust and authenticity and people wanting things faster now when I want it, etc. But this is the first self-service supermarket store opened, Piggly Wiggly, in Memphis, Tennessee, just over 100 years ago. Now, if you look, what's actually changed? Well, apart from that people dress more colorfully, apparently, and they've got a bit fatter, there's actually, and they don't wear so many hats, there's actually not a lot of change. I mean, you still have to go through the turnstile to go in. You have to walk around all these, and you have to pick all this heavy, bulky stuff off, and which you then put on your nice, fresh stuff and crack the eggs, etc. And then you have to queue up in these ridiculous queues while people scan that stuff that you've taken out of your basket, and then you have to scan it and put it back in your basket again. That is how 99.9% of food retail is still done today, irrespective of Amazon Go, which is questionable how much it can be scale, but it's still a good thing they're doing because they're trying to reinvent it. And it's easier to reinvent something if you are from outside than from inside, but they're still doing a good job. And in China, there's other companies, Alibaba, etc., trying to reinvent it. But really so we're talking about trying to, if we were trying to reinvent it, we would probably say we don't need the cashier. The cashier experience today, hello, do you have a nice day, do you have a loyalty card? They've got a really tough, crappy job, and it's really difficult to do, and you end up wasting your time at the cashier. So if we start again from today, how do we want to do it from a customer perspective? Now, online has its advantages, brick and mortar has its advantages. I'm speaking quite fast, because remember, we're going faster than the speed of light, but hopefully you're keeping up here. So online has advantages. It's very easy. Once you've got your standard list of products that you always buy, you just press that list and it already goes into your basket. That's me doing my shopping probably in a few days' time. That's the way I like to do it. Obviously, anytime, anywhere. No checkout line, very important, the biggest gripe that people have. Your product range, it's much cheaper to stock a wide range of products in a warehouse rather than at the very expensive retail space. And in theory, you can learn a lot more about the products online, though it's not very well done yet at all. I think there's a lot more to be done here. And of course, today in the UK, it's standard 1 hour time frame. You only need to be at home for 1 hour, and if they really hit that, and Amazon is driving that as well. So, or you can have lockers, and there's various other systems coming, so you won't really need to be at home when they deliver. So it is very convenient. Brick and mortar does have advantages as well. You get it immediately when you want it, and the main reason that people say they don't want to shop online is because people want to touch, and you'll understand, especially all the fresh food you have, you want to touch it, feel it, smell it, or as the online retailers say, you want to spoil it for the next person. Yeah? But it's true, most people just want that touch and feel. Though, actually, once you've tried getting someone else to buy it online, the first thing that the online retailers say is, we guarantee the freshness, otherwise like 3 times your money back. And actually, once you've tried getting someone else to buy it online, you find that they actually get better, fresher food for you than you can do yourself. But anyway, culturally, most people want to do this. So wouldn't it be good if we could somehow combine the advantages, have all this together? Doesn't exist today. But it's coming. So the store of the future is going to be both high-tech and high-touch. That's the one high-tech solution of addressing what I call the online cannibalization conundrum, a snappy way of describing that elephant. So I've got another crazy idea, and this is the craziest idea of all. Absolutely mad idea. So Food is the only retail sector pretty much left where the people who spend most time with customers, in front of customers, spend the most time. The cashiers and the shelf restockers spend the most time with customers. They get the least training. Therefore, certainly the case in Europe and the US, and I believe it's probably the case here, the people selling you the food know less about what they're selling than their customers usually. I mean, that is pretty crazy when you think about it, especially given that the single biggest unmet need of customers today is to know, help me eat more healthily and sustainably. What I read in the paper one day, fat's bad for me, no, sugar bad for me, this, we don't have a clue. Actually, that you can cut through this. So I had the crazy idea of coming up with a basic training program, and I trained as a nutritionist also, and then I brought other specialists to help me, creating a program that teaches people on the front line the basics about what they're selling. For instance, 90% of people who buy extra virgin olive oil in Europe and the US, I'm sure it's not the case here because you're more aware, but I'm watching your faces to see, 90% of people who buy extra virgin olive oil use it to fry their onions. As you, I'm sure, all know, that's very bad. It's carcinogenous. You don't fry, you don't cook with extra virgin oil, real virgin olive oil. It's very bad for you. You put it on your salads and you do it for very low heat cooking. Actually, the best thing to cook with probably, from a taste and health perspective, is clarified butter. Get a wad of good, nice pasture-fed cow butter, stick it in a pot, low heat, lactose rises up, scoop it off, and you've got lovely butter oil that makes your food taste beautiful. So these are the sort of things that and 90% of people who buy tomatoes put them in the fridge. They go off more quickly. It's wasting. Wouldn't it be great if the people at the point of sale actually had that sort of knowledge that they would then turn a really crappy, boring, robotic type job into a real career where they'll be happier and they'll be giving information that's really useful for customers and give them an experience in the store. So basically what I'm telling food retailers is, if you keep treating your staff as robots, they will be replaced by robots, which I'm helping to develop anyway. And long term, I think that's going to happen one way or the other. So that's the message I'm going to leave you with in terms of my specialty with supermarkets. But the same principles that I've been talking about here, the same challenges, non-food have the same challenges, not as bad, but overall in non-food, the online wave is adding more cost and more complexity than it is sales. So you've really got to think out of the box, working back from the customer, and try to either invent or find other very smart people who I haven't invented this stuff. I was lucky enough to meet the people who have invented these start solutions. But the point is, you've really got to start thinking about it. Even if the wave hasn't hit you yet, Amazon is not coming here right away. But these technologies are, in the next 3 to 5 years, going to make their way all around the world. So it's really worth starting to think about it now. Thank you.